everybody! Welcome back to the P5 Science class with me, Miss Ras. And today we are back with the topic on reproduction in humans. So based on all the questions from the previous lessons, I took note. I do take note of some of the questions, and then sometimes I'll tell you, I will not cover it today, but I'll cover it in a subsequent lesson. So one of the common questions you ask is, how is it that during fertilization, right, then suddenly it develops into a baby? Right? When the sperm meet the egg and then suddenly have a baby, how does that happen? So today's lesson is solely focusing on what happens after fertilization. Okay, so if you remember from last lesson, fertilization is where the sperm fuses with the egg, right? So it fuse together. So after that, what happens? So today we're going to explore that, right? So this will be our lesson objectives for today. All right, moving on. So before we begin, as usual, I would like to go through the recap topic first. Okay, so let's see if you remember, okay? How does fertilization take place in humans? Okay, fill up the boxes with the correct description. Okay, now I will need your help to rearrange, the sequence of events when fertilization takes place in humans. So who can tell me what is box number 1? What should come in first? There will be sperms being deposited, right? Yes, very good. So during sexual intercourse or during mating, right, the sperms will be deposited in the female's vagina. Okay, if you never enter the vagina, then there's no way that the sperm will meet the egg eventually. Next, what happens after it has entered the vagina? Then it goes into adventure mode. Where will it? I see some different answers. Some of you say 1, some of you say 5. Which one is it? Will it be number 1? Suddenly the sperm penetrate the egg so fast. No, it should be number 5, right? It has to swim first. Poor sperm. Okay, sperm have to work hard. Okay, you have to swim all the way up, and then along the way, right, it's like a battle. You know, like you have to find the egg. Okay, who is the fastest and the healthiest sperm to find the egg first? Yeah, and then the rest, right? If they are not so strong, they are quite weak. They will get stuck, and then they will eventually die and break down. Okay, then after that, after it swims up the fallopian tube, then suddenly, wow, got 1 egg there. So what will happen next? Okay, so you say that it should be number 1. Very good. Since a lot of you can remember. Well done. All right, so 1 sperm, okay, only 1, all right, will penetrate the egg. Why is it that there are millions of sperms, but only 1 penetrate the egg? Who can tell me? If you have been following my lesson closely, why is it that only 1 sperm penetrate the egg? What about the other, the rest of the millions of eggs? Millions of sperms. Increase the chances. Okay, they die, but how? Like, let's say they have the egg, right? Then the sperm penetrate. Then what happened to the other sperm surrounding the egg? What Marvin said, there will be a barrier. Okay, so building on that, barrier formed by who? By what? They cannot enter. Very good. They cannot enter. Kaden said cannot enter because of the barrier, which is released by the egg. Yeah, so the egg is very smart. Okay, once it knows that, oh, there's 1 sperm that managed to penetrate or enter, then I will close all my doors. Okay, I will close all the gates, and then the other sperms will not be able to enter. And this is very important because we, for all like living things, mammals, okay, for humans, we need to have 50% of the genetic material coming from the father, which is from the sperm cell, and 50% coming from the mother, which is the egg cell. So if you have like more than 1 sperm cell, means the percentage will be different already. Yeah, and then that will be abnormal. So if it ever happen, there's more than 1 sperm that enters, then it will not form a baby. Okay, it will not happen naturally. Yeah, so even, let's say, I'm already saying the chance is almost 0, but if it did happen, theoretically, if it did happen, the fertilized egg will not develop into a fetus. Yeah. It can hit the, actually ask what happens if 2 sperms, yeah, a lot of sperms can hit the head, but only 1 can enter. So no matter how much they swim, right, or they try to go in, cannot. Yeah. Okay. All right, then after that, after 1 enters, of course, then you can see that the head of the sperm gets removed, and then it will fuse together with the egg. If none of the sperm manage to enter the egg, then that's it. There will not be any pregnancy. Okay, and then finally, of course, when we have one egg, one sperm, you will have a fertilized egg. So one sperm plus one egg. Okay, you have one fertilized egg, and this one fertilized egg will eventually develop, okay, into a fetus or into a young baby. And how it does that, okay, it will actually divide into many, many cells, which I will show you in an animation later. Okay, then you will see how it look like, right? So this is a recap. Okay, so I've shown this last week. Okay, so in case you have forgotten, I will just run through with you quickly. Right, so this is a fertilization process. So first we have the sperm, okay, swimming up, millions of sperms through the vagina walls. Okay, and then you just swim all the way up. Then you will try to find the egg. Okay, so some of them may get lost, you know, along the way, and then they will just break down because they couldn't meet the egg. So it so happens that in this particular timing, okay, the egg was released on the right side. So still, a lot of sperms will reach the egg. Okay, many, many sperms will reach the egg. But however, only basically the best one, okay, will be able to penetrate. Okay, yeah, so it, like I mentioned, all right, that's just the way nature is. Okay, once this sperm has entered, all right, the egg will release a chemical to stop all the other sperms from entering. It's like closing the gate. If it's outside the body, I think I briefly mentioned this term before, did I? IVF. IVF means in vitro fertilization, meaning you take out the egg out of the female's body, you take out the sperm out of the male's body, and then you fuse them in the lab. In the lab. That is also possible. Okay, that's a treatment for couples who have difficulties having babies the natural way. Yeah, so they fuse it outside, make sure that it successfully fuses. Then they will take the fertilized egg and put it back into the mother's womb. Okay, so where is the vagina? All right, vagina is here, this part here. Let me remove this. Okay, this is the vagina, this whole stretch here, this is the vagina. So the penis have to enter here first. Where do the egg come from? Egg will come from the ovary, from here. And then it will just be released. Remember, females release one egg, yeah, usually on average, one egg per month once the female have reached puberty. Okay, but of course, in some special cases, if they happen to release two eggs at a time, then what happens? That's pretty much it. Okay, very simple process. Which of the following statement is true? Okay, A says fertilization occurs in the ovary. B, fertilized egg attaches itself to the walls of the womb. C, fertilization occurs when the sperm fuses with the egg. D, fertilized egg undergoes cell division to form more cells. So they're asking for the true, okay, the true statements only. Yay! I like that confidence. I like that confidence. Let's go. Let's go. Let me see. How can I help you? All right. Think about the location of fertilization. Okay. Based on the video just now, where did the sperm meet the egg? Is it in the ovary? Or is it in somewhere else? Okay. Then after that, fertilized egg have to attach itself to somewhere to grow into a fetus. So which part of the reproductive system is that? Okay. So if you look at part B, think about it. Is it a true statement? Okay. And then is C the correct definition of fertilization? And finally, what happens after there is a fertilized egg? Okay, what happens to the fertilized egg? You have to read very, very carefully, okay? My question is sometimes, if you think that it's easy, right, you must always double read. So Miss Ras decided to increase the difficulty level. Okay, that was intense. Yes, all right. So the answer, wait, too many of you got tricked. What has happened? I thought you said you were very confident. Oh no, this is one of the lowest percentage of correct I've ever seen since day one. Oh no. Okay, so why did you get tricked? Most of you said you got tricked by option C, right? What is wrong with option C? Sperms with a S. Yes, there should only be one sperm. Miss Ras repeated herself just now like a parrot, you know. I always keep saying only one sperm, one egg, one sperm, one egg. And then you see sperms fused with the egg, and then you say it's correct. Huh. But okay, never mind. I'm just teasing you, okay? As long as you understand why you got wrong, right? That's more important. Okay, so I think the rest should be quite straightforward, right? Is B and D. Okay, fertilization does not occur in the ovary. Where does it occur? Where does it take place? Where did the sperm meet the egg? There's no figure of speech, Kaden. Wrong means wrong. Yes, in the fallopian tube. Okay, should be in the fallopian tube. So it's not in the ovary, okay? So remember, Miss Russ' question can be very, very tricky. Okay, very, very sneaky like Miss Russ. Okay, moving on to the next part. Bubble question number 2. Okay, let's try not to get tricked again, all right? Study the picture of the female reproductive system below. Okay, which of the following statements are correct? Okay, based on correct. Okay, based on the picture above. Okay, so we have A that states X and Y are the ovaries. Okay, next, B states Z provides nutrients for the fetus. C, X still can produce eggs if Y is missing. And then D, Y is the place where the fertilized egg will develop into fetus. So maybe what we can do together as a team, right, is to identify first. Okay, if you see this kind of question, right, a good practice will be to identify what is the part. Okay, don't just look at W, X, Y, Z. What is it? Right, so who can tell me what is W? W is what? This is very easy, right? It's the tube. What tube is it? The tube. Fallopian tube. Fallopian tube. Okay, and then you remember fallopian tube is where the sperm meet the eggs, right? Then what is X? X is the ovary. Okay, it's O-V-A-R-Y. Okay, so what is the function of ovary? Let's help each other. Okay, what is the function of ovary? It helps to produce egg cells. Very good. Right, then what about the Y? What is that big muscle in the center? It's the womb. Okay, what's the purpose of the womb? Helps to do what? Just sit there and relax. Is where the fetus develop, where the fetus grow for over a stretch of about 9 months in humans. Okay, and then there's also another muscular structure here, which is Z, right? This will be the vagina. Okay, what's the function of the vagina? In this case, it will be to allow what to be deposited? The sperms to be deposited. Yes, so after you already identify those parts, then you can read the statement carefully. Read the statement carefully, and then you choose which ones are correct, okay? All right, so this time round, okay, 85% of you got it correct. There are still a few who somehow got tricked, okay, somehow, not sure why, but you wrote option number 3. Okay, so we go through each statement, right? X and W, so X is the ovary, and then W is the statement A is a giveaway, right? Obviously, W is not the ovary. Okay, then you look at part B, Z provides nutrients for the fetus. Does it though? Does the vagina provide nutrients for the fetus? I don't think so, right? We've never talked about vagina having that kind of function. Okay, it doesn't work that way. So this is definitely, Okay, and then X still can produce eggs if Y is missing. Yep. Okay, if the womb is removed, okay, it doesn't affect the ovary. If the ovary is still there, it can still continue to produce eggs. Yeah. So this is correct. Okay, and Y is the place where the fertilized egg will develop. Yes. Okay, so that's why the answer is 2, right? Or C and D. Okay. Yeah, there is a different tube that will provide nutrients. Yes. Right, now this is the moment that you've been waiting for. Okay, the question where you ask, Miss Ras, how come fertilized egg suddenly turn into a baby? Is it like magic? Is it like overnight you just turn into a baby? No. Okay, so you watch this, all right, in a video, and I shall narrate. Okay, I'll be like scientist mode. I have to narrate this. Right, so what happens after fertilization, okay, maybe you can pause on your question first, right? Then you watch the video together. Then after I finish the video, then you can start sending in your question. Otherwise, I will miss your question because I'll be like looking at the video, you know, can't multitask. Okay, so pause first. Okay, let's look at the video together.
The
So what
embryo is an
happens?
early developmental stage of animals.
There is narrator already. Okay, never mind.
In humans, the embryo begins to
Can you hear the
develop
sound?
about 4 days after an egg is fertilized. Appearing initially as a tiny mass of cells, it eventually gives rise to the fetus, an obvious human form. In the first days of the embryo's existence, it journeys along the fallopian tube. About 1 week after conception, it reaches the uterus, which is prepared to receive it with a network of blood vessels and glands. By this time, the embryo has become a fluid-filled sphere of nearly 100 cells. Some of the cells become finger-like projections that anchor the embryo to the uterus to draw nourishment and oxygen and to rid the embryo of wastes. The anchoring cells secrete a hormone that will prevent the disintegration of the lining. Once the embryo anchors to the uterus, there will be no menstrual period. 3 weeks after fertilization, though still smaller than a grain of rice, the embryo has a primitive heart. Through the following weeks, its tissues and organs will develop. In 4 weeks, it looks like this. 5 weeks, about the size of a pea. 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
Wow, look at that.
At 2 months, it is called a fetus. The umbilical cord emerges from the placenta and leads to the abdomen of the fetus. When the cord is removed at birth, the belly button is created. During pregnancy, the placenta and umbilical cord serve as pathways for everything the fetus needs to grow. It kicks occasionally. Its heart rate averages about 140 beats per minute, twice the speed of an adult's. After 9 months, it is fully developed and birth occurs.
All right, so let's take a look at some parts of it, okay? So let me just remove this audio. At first, I thought there was no audio, but apparently there is someone helping to explain. So, all right, so what you're looking at right now is basically the big egg, okay, and the multiple sperms. And by now, you know that only one sperm will fuse with the egg, right? So let's take a look at that. So this is how it looks like in 3D form. Okay, wiggle. And this is where it is happening in the female reproductive system. Okay, and then you can see over here, okay, let me just use my pointer. Okay, this part here, this is the ovary. The one that looks like the hand here, this is the fallopian tube. Remember the fallopian tube looks like 2 arms, right? So when at every month, okay, before the female experiences period, okay, she will release 1. Okay, on average, they will release 1 egg at a time. Okay, so you watch carefully. This is how it's being released. Okay, it comes out, and then it will start to move, right? It will be moved. Then the sperm will quickly try to get attached to it, but only 1 will enter. Okay, so the moment it has happened, all of this is happening while it is being pushed through the fallopian tube. Okay. Then after that, when it is being pushed all the way down to the womb, you notice that the number of cells have now increased. Okay, from 1 to become multiple cells. And eventually it will attach itself to the walls of the womb. Did you see that? Okay, so the egg doesn't move on its own. Actually, on the walls of the fallopian tube, there is something that looks like fingers that will push the egg. You know, like sweep the egg along the way. Yeah, only the sperm can swim, but the egg cannot move on its own. So it requires the help of the fallopian tube to push it. Okay, so it gets pushed all the way to the womb. And then once it settles nicely onto one side of the womb, right? It can be on the right, it can be on the left. Okay, then you notice that it actually merged a little bit with the womb, right? Okay, so you see that? It says that the tissues grow in the uterus. Uterus is the womb that support the embryo. So now it gets attached. What you're looking at over here are all the blood vessels. Okay, the blood vessels. So in this case, right, this is one baby. Okay, we're not talking about twins. If you remember, twins will be 2 eggs, 2 sperm. So then you will see 2 of this for fraternal twins. Or if it's just identical twin, okay, this particular fertilized egg will separate into 2. And then you have 2 of them as well. Yeah, so how do you get attached? Okay, I guess it's just smart. It knows what to do. Yeah, so it gets attached and it will grow this part. Okay, it will grow all these little blood vessels. Okay, so that it will be connected to the womb. Okay, and there's a reason why it gets attached. Okay, I'll show you in a bit. See here. All right, so it will keep continuing. Okay, so you receive the nutrients. Okay, and remove the waste. Okay, the waste is in blue arrow. Nutrient is in red. Okay, more waste in white. Okay, and then during this period of time, right, eventually the fertilized egg will develop into this little tiny fetus. Okay, remember GB shared with us the little fetus? Okay, so the fetus, that's how it looks like at the start, right? You can't really see the features yet. Okay, you can't really see the eyes, you can't really see like the head. Okay, it will slowly start to develop into the various parts. Okay, so at first, at one point of time, we all look like this. Okay, just one little round thing. And then suddenly you notice that, there's this thing forming. Okay, this is actually, I believe this is like the backbone. Can you see here? This part here? This is like the backbone. Then after that, let's see what else happened. So looks a bit like a lizard. Because our backbone is quite long when we are in a fetus stage. Looks like we have a tail. Okay, this is the end part of your backbone. And then the head, you notice that it starts to develop. Okay, this is the head. This is where your heart is. Okay. And then you see that there's this long tube over here. Okay, so remember just now when I said that the fertilized egg gets attached to the womb, that part of attachment eventually develop into this tube. Okay, and then we've learned the term, right? They actually stated it. Okay, so you can see, all right, it keeps growing. At this point, we don't know the gender yet, all right? Because the reproductive system have not developed. So it's genderless for now. Yeah, so this tube is called the umbilical cord. It's the tube that connects the fetus to the mother. Okay. Okay, so the reason why the head is quite big because you are trying to form the brain already. Okay. So you notice that the mother is going for a CT scan. Okay, then to check, how healthy the baby is. Okay, to see if the heart is beating right. And then after 9 months, okay, you will see the baby being delivered. Yeah, so you will not get to see whether it is a girl or a boy very, very early in pregnancy. You have to wait. Yeah. Okay, so girls born with hair, same goes for boys. Actually, both boys and girls are born with hair. You can see that there's a little bit of hair here, just a little bit. Okay, and of course your face will look quite squished because it just came out, but eventually after a few days, then the muscles will like, shift a bit and then you look normal. Yeah, so the first time when a baby is just born, right, if you ever seen a newborn before, if you ever have like a younger sibling and you visited, the hospital and then you take a look, sometimes you look at a sibling, you'll be like, how come the face is so squished? Okay, that is normal, right? Because the baby is, has been in the womb for very long. So it needs to adjust to the air, outside of the womb. Yeah, I thought it's pretty cool. Okay, it's quite amazing to see how from a tiny sperm and an egg eventually develop into like this full-grown baby. Yeah. Okay, interesting fact. Okay, will make you appreciate your mothers better. All right, so can you see that in this particular picture, right, a pregnant mother's organs will shift positions to accommodate the growth of the fetus in the womb. Her organs will be placed under a significant amount of pressure, often causing discomfort. So do you see? This is without a baby. Okay, if someone who is not pregnant, which is on the left side, and then on the right side, you will see that there's quite a heavily pregnant person. Notice how the organs are being shifted. Okay, if you take a closer look, okay, you can see it, for example, the stomach. Okay, at first it's over here. So it is like the stomach. Can you see the stomach without me pointing? Yeah, and then you look at on the picture on the right, you can see that the stomach gets cramped up. Yeah, so it's a lot of discomfort for pregnant mothers. Actually, they feel a lot of discomfort. You know, every time, even when they eat, right, they don't feel very comfortable, simply because their organs have been shifted so much, and there's a lot of pressure. Yeah, and yes, it can cause indigestion. And also, if you look at the bladder, okay, if you can spot the bladder somewhere below, you notice that it has also been squished. Okay, so pregnant ladies will often need to use the washroom quite often because the bladder size has been reduced due to the squeezing. All right, so yeah, this is the nice summary. Okay, fertilization occurs in the fallopian tube. The fertilized egg starts to divide to form more cells. Okay, this part here is the keyword. Can you write this down? Oops. Starts to divide. Okay, to form more cells. It's not multiply, it's actually divide. Okay, and then it attaches itself to the wall of the womb or the uterus. Okay, so this part is important, yeah? Then next. Okay, so which of the following statements are false? Okay, so now the key idea, it is a wrong statement. Okay, it's a wrong statement based on what you have watched just now. Okay, so for statement A, the baby's organs start working after he or she is born. Okay, B, the terms fertilized egg and fetus are interchangeable. Interchangeable means you can say that a fertilized egg is a fetus or a fetus is a fertilized egg. You know, like you can switch over the terms. So is that true? And then part C, the fetus obtains its nutrients through the fallopian tube. Okay, if you remember, the fallopian tube is the one that attaches the fetus to the mother, right? So is that where the fetus get the nutrients from? And then finally, D, the mother carries the child in the womb for about 9 months. Okay, so interchangeable, like I mentioned, it means that it can be switched around. In other words, you're trying to say that fertilized egg and fetus is the same thing. Is it the same thing? Yes or no? If it's no, that is a false statement. If you think that fertilized egg is the fetus, it's the same thing, then you can say that it's a correct statement. How many months does the mother carry the baby? How many months? How long do you think the pregnancy is for humans? I'm sure you know this, right? I mentioned it quite a few times. Yes, okay. So this one is on average, about 9 months, not exactly 9 months, okay? Okay. All right, so I see hashtag yes. I will be launching the question now. Okay, let's go. 1 minute. Okay, give this a try. Just give this a try. I already gave more than enough clues. Where do they get the nutrients? So do you think that special tube is the place where they get the nutrients? Or do you think the baby can eat already while it's in the womb? Take food, put in the mouth. Do you think the baby can do that? See, that's a very big clue. No worries, no worries. The whole idea of this is that you learn from your mistakes. Okay, so even if you get it wrong, after which I will help to explain, right? So I hope you can understand the explanation and not repeat the same mistakes for your exams. Don't be upset, okay? Don't be upset. But then on the other hand, some of you are saying it's so easy that it's free bubbles. Wow, I can sense the overconfidence already. Oh dear. Interchangeable means the same thing. Is it the same thing? Oh, okay. So let me take a look at results. Oh, no. Okay. Well, the good news is the majority still got it correct. The not so good news is there's a lot of you who wrote option 1. They're asking for false statement. False statement. The tube, is it the fallopian tube? What tube is it? The one that is attached to the mother. It was in the video. It was mentioned in the video. Who can tell me what was the tube? is the umbilical cord, right? So what is the fallopian tube? Fallopian tube is the one where the location where the sperm meets the egg. Yeah, it's a different tube. We talk about tube. Which tube is it? Okay, so this part here, okay, baby's organs start working after he or she is born. This is false. Okay, some of the organs are already working inside while it is in the womb. Okay, it's not as though it must be like out of the body before it starts working. Okay, it's already starting to work inside the womb, right? So this is actually a false statement. Okay, for part B, the terms fertilized eggs and fetus are interchangeable. These are also false statement. Okay, because fertilized egg means just one egg, okay, with the sperm that already fused, but a fetus is already a developed, okay, the developed form of the fertilized egg. So you cannot say that when the sperm fused with the egg, it will form a fetus straight away. No. Okay, so that's why they are not supposed to be interchangeable. Means you cannot use it like the same as though it has the same meaning. Okay, then part C, the fetus obtains nutrients through the fallopian tube. This is also another trick because if you look at it, fallopian tube is not the same tube as the umbilical cord. Yeah, so wait, so just now when I was explaining, did I use umbilical cord or did I say fallopian tube? I also can't remember. I got so distracted by the leg. I mentioned cord, right? Yeah, I should have mentioned cord. I think. Okay. Did I say fallopian? Okay, I'm not too sure, but regardless, okay, take note, the tube that is attached to the baby, okay, or to the fetus is called the umbilical cord. Right? If I've accidentally mentioned fallopian, then I apologize, but I remembered maybe I said tube, just the tube. Okay, so well, let's blame the television for the leg. Got so distracted by the leg. Okay, then part D, the mother carries the child in the womb for about 9 months. This is actually a true statement. On average, humans hold the pregnancies for about 9 months. Can be a bit longer, can be a bit shorter, but most of them should be about 9 months. Okay, so let's move on to the next part. It's visual, and you literally watched the video just now. You saw how the fetus developed. Okay, so this one, right, I don't even need to give you clues, right? This one is like a super easy, okay? Bubble question 4, let's go. Okay, can everybody get this? Why is it that a small percentage did not get it right? Huh? Oh no, what happened? Look carefully, look at the details carefully. Don't get mixed up. Yeah, some of you said you like this question because it's too easy. See, I'm also quite nice. Okay, I give some easier questions. Yes, the answer is 4. Okay, if you got tricked because you think it's 3, please notice that there is a small image of the sperm there. Okay, so for 4 is correct because the sperm just about to fuse with the egg. Then after that, it will develop into, it will divide into multiple cells. Then after that, you can see the fetus eventually developing into a baby. Yeah, this is easy. Okay. Moving on. Okay, so what happens after fertilization? Okay, so the fertilized egg continues to grow and develop into a fetus. So that's how we all look like. Okay, kind of weird, you know, but kind of cute because you have a big head, small body. And then the organs begin to form as the fetus obtains nutrients from the mother's blood. Okay, so the question just now, you say, oh, how is it that the umbilical cord transport nutrients? It is through the exchange of blood. Yeah, so when your mother eats, right, okay, the food get digested. Okay, you've covered digestion in lower block before, remember? So when you eat the food, it gets digested. Where is it absorbed? Who can recall your lower block topic? Food gets digested, it gets absorbed into the blood. Yes, so in our blood will be all the sugar, okay, all the glucose, all the sugar. So it will be circulated around, right? So part of it will go to the baby. The mother's blood, okay, will pass through the umbilical cord, and that's where the exchange takes place. Yeah, so the baby or the fetus is not able to eat yet, okay, like normal food. Okay, of course, there's no food in the womb also. So how it gets its food from? Okay, from the umbilical cord, and as well as gas exchange. So it will get the oxygen through the blood as well. It cannot breathe yet. Okay, because it is surrounded by a fluid. Okay, so the lungs is not fully developed yet. Why do babies cry when they are born? Okay, because once the moment they come out into on earth, right? Okay, where they have the air, okay, they are not surrounded by fluid anymore. That's where their lungs start to work properly. Okay, so when they cry, it means that the lungs is working fine. Yeah, and air can enter. So the baby actually starts to breathe in for the first time. That's why I think the baby get very scared. So he or she will cry. Yeah, so crying is actually a good sign to show that the lungs is working well. If they don't cry, that would be a big problem. Then the doctor really have to check and make sure that it is not like having anything blocked. If it's blocked, then then the baby will not be able to cry. So they eventually have to sayang sayang, like pet, and then say, oh, okay, can cry, okay, healthy baby. Right. So after about 9 months, okay, the baby is born. So the question is this, okay, on the next slide. Paul wondered why the fetus does not drown in the womb, even though it is surrounded by fluid. Could you help to explain the reason? Okay, so remember I told you that the baby is surrounded by this fluid. Okay, and then I think last week somebody mentioned is to protect the baby, right? Is to protect the baby. But why is it that the baby doesn't drown? There's no nose. There is a nose there. It's just that, is he using the nose? Or not? Where does it get its oxygen from? Where does it get its oxygen from? Is it through the nose? Through the hands? Fetus cannot breathe, and the umbilical cord provides the oxygen. Wow. You can teach the lesson because that is correct. Okay, so the fetus actually receives the oxygen through the umbilical cord. Okay, and it's not breathing through its nose yet. Okay, not at this point, not while it is inside the womb. Okay, so it gets its oxygen from the umbilical cord. It removes its waste product like carbon dioxide also through the umbilical cord. Everything goes through the umbilical cord. Okay, and then this fluid that is surrounding the baby, okay, it's just there to protect the baby against any shock. Okay, let's say if the mother accidentally hit against the table or something, the fluid actually helps to protect the baby. Okay, it's like a balloon, you know, filled with water. All right, so let's look at the following question. Okay, which of the following is true about the function of the umbilical cord? Okay, so let's focus on the umbilical cord. Okay, just now I mentioned it's where all the nutrients pass in, all the waste product is removed. So read the statements carefully. Okay. Just now somebody asked me what is the fluid called. If I'm not wrong, it's called embryonic fluid. You will not need to know this. This is just additional term. But yeah. Oh, why are there 2, 3? Oh, yeah. Correct. The last one should be 4. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay, the last option should be 4. It's always 1, 2, 3, 4. Yay! Awesome. Okay, so for those who get it correct, well done. For those who did not, actually, this time round, a lot of you got it correct. So it's quite straightforward, right? Yeah, okay, so the answer should be number 3. Number 3, right? Okay, not the last option. Last option is wrong because they said that which of the following is true? Okay, so A is true, right? Umbilical cord transports oxygen to the baby. We have agreed on that. Okay, B also, okay, besides oxygen, it also helps to transport nutrients or food, right? Digested food. Okay, then umbilical cord remove undigested food from the baby. That is not true because the baby cannot digest any food yet, right? It's only receiving the nutrients through the blood, okay, straight away through the blood. So no digestion takes place. Then for part D, umbilical cord remove carbon dioxide and waste material. That is true. Okay, so digestion for the baby does not take place until the baby is outside and is drinking the milk, okay, from the mother. Then digestion will work. Why the baby close the eyes when it's born? I mean, if you have been in the womb, right, it's pretty dark, right? So when you suddenly come up, okay, in the hospital, there's a lot of bright lights. Of course, the eyes will be like very sensitive. Will not want to open yet. They'll be like, can't see anything. Then after a few days, then maybe we'll open up like a little bit at a time. Yeah. So imagine like all for the 9 months, the baby has been living in like a like a fluid-like environment. And suddenly, after the 9 months, it's being pushed out into like no more fluid, it's just air. So the body needs to adjust, need to get used to it. Can the baby see in the womb? Not really, because the eye is not fully developed yet, and it's also very dark. Okay, so let's try to finish out as many as we can. Okay, Mrs. Tan's class watched a documentary on the development of a fetus in his mother's womb. Okay, after the program, 4 boys made the following comments about the fetus shown above. Elvin said, it does not require any water. Ben said, it is inside its mother's stomach. Jason said, it does not breathe through its nose. And Wayne said, it depends on its mother for nutrients. So which of these boys attended Miss Ra's lesson? Okay, and have been paying very close attention and make the correct remarks. What is the it? It is referring to the fetus shown above. Yeah, so which one is it? Okay, which one is correct? Okay, correct, not the wrong one, correct, okay? Okay, so the answer is option 2. Jason and Wayne is correct. Okay, whereas Elvin and Ben needs to watch my recorded videos again. Okay, how can Elvin say that the fetus does not require water? All living things need water, right? Right? So, of course, the fetus need water. So, this is wrong. Okay, Elvin is wrong. Naughty Elvin. And then Ben is the best. He said that the fetus forms in the mother's stomach. Is it true? It should be in the mother's womb. Even though the position is very close to the stomach, it should be in the womb. So don't be like Ben, okay? Don't be like Ben. Okay, so this is the summary. Okay, so we basically went through the journey, right, of the fertilized egg developing into a fetus and finally into a baby. Then we talked about where it is developed, which is in the womb. And finally, after 9 months, okay, the baby will be delivered. And then one more point that we talk about is the umbilical cord and what is the function of the umbilical cord. All right, that is all for today. I will officially end the lesson now. Bye.